Hey there, Crystal Thompson here for Unity Stamp Company. Today I have an easy stamp background card using the November 2020 Whit Kit. We're going to make this super easy card, super easy to mass produce. You'll never run out of supplies for this. So if you're looking for a thank you card for the upcoming holidays, I got one for you. So as mentioned, we are using the November 2020 Whit Kit card kit. We're going to use the stamp set everything in between using the awesome leaves along with the Gina K designs. It comes with two ink cubes. So we're going to use those, and these are in grass green and the fresh asparagus. Then I have two pieces of cardstock. One is a craft piece of cardstock cut 4 inches by 5.25 inches. And then we have a white piece of cardstock or a card base that is 5.25 by 5.5 by 4.25. We're going to begin by inking up our first leaf set from this stamp set, and we're going to do it using the Gina K Designs Fresh Asparagus, which is the darker of the stamp sets, and we're going to alternate where we stamp. So we're going to follow around, because we don't want to create a wreath, but we want to create a background yet still leave a little bit of white space in the center of this craft cardstock to be able to fit our sentiment, which is the thanks included in the everything in between stamp set. So I like to stamp 2 or 3 times out of the same color using the ink cube Fresh Asparagus. And we're going to stamp it again. And this is a super easy way to create some thank you cards. Repetitive backgrounds is probably one of my favorite techniques because it really allows you to utilize the minimum amount of supplies. So guys, we're just using the card kit contents here. We're going to close that up, not let it dry. We're going to move on to the smaller of the leaf sets. And I want to say this is probably eucalyptus. Whitney, let me know if that is not correct. And so we're going to use our next Gina cube in grass green. And these cubes do have a little bit of adhesive on the side. So they're brand new, guys. I did not rehearse this before starting to film. And we're going to ink this up. And using cubes is a great way to really diversify the amount of colors and brands of ink in your craft stash. So we're going to stamp this over and over. I'm going to fast forward this just because you kind of know how we're doing repetitive backgrounds. Once that is done, we are going to come in with our thanks. And so we're doing some white heat embossing. So the thanks is, I really like this size. It's not so big that you not need to make your cardstock bigger, but not so small that it's going to get lost. I have a little bit of cornstarch in a little bowl, and I have a brush, and I'm going to brush on some cornstarch. Be sure that your ink is completely dry before doing any heat embossing so your embossing powder does not stick to the wet ink. Using a watermark embossing ink, I'm going to stamp the thanks from the everything in between, and I'm going to try to center it at the best of my ability. If you have a hard time, use a mini Misty to really center that thanks. And I'm going to let this sit for just a couple seconds to really allow the cardstock to absorb that ink and then my white embossing powder on top to make it stand out. I'm going to heat set this, and then we'll move on to putting our card together. So once that is fully nice and cool, we're going to bring in a piece of cardstock, and I like to keep some scraps, and I'm going to cover that thanks. And the reason why is I'm going to bring in some white paint. This is Altenew Pure White. So if you could have some white paint splatters, just add those. If you don't have white paint, you can create your own using some white watercolors, create a nice paste, and then splatter it with your brush. So you can add as much or little. We're going to let that sit for just a couple minutes, just so I don't rub this off. So if you wanted to put your card together before you do this, that is also an option. And once that's done, I'm going to bring in my white card base. I'm going to add some adhesive using the Tombow Mono Roller adhesive. This is a permanent adhesive, so it's not going to lift or curl the cardstock. And then we're going to place that thanks right over it. And I did cut it so it would be 1/4 of an inch smaller. The craft is 1/4 of an inch smaller than the card base, so that's why I'm being sure that I can match all my corners first. All supplies are going to be listed in the video descriptions, but I'm showcasing the November 2020 Whit card kit, which is super, super fun. Once that is done, we are going to come in and embellish with some Nuvo drops in pearl, and that will do it for us, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you liked this tutorial using the Whit Kit card kit. These kits get better and better every month, so be sure to go grab one before it sells out. We'll see you guys later.